Jake Morrison sat in the communications room of the research ship Harmony. The blue lights from the computer screens made his face glow in the dark space. He had been working the night shift for 3 weeks now, listening to the endless noise. It came from deep space. Most of it was just static and random sounds from stars being born or dying. But tonight felt different. The coffee in his cup had gone cold hours ago, but Jake kept sipping it anyway. His job was to find patterns in the noise, to catch any signals that might come from other worlds. The Earth government had sent the Harmony out here to look for signs of alien life. So far, they had found nothing but empty space and dead rocks. Jake stretched his arms and rubbed his tired eyes. He was about to switch off the main receiver when something caught his attention. There was a sound coming through the speakers that did not belong with the usual space noise. He leaned forward and turned up the volume. The sound was soft and smooth, like music. It rose and fell in a pattern that reminded Jake of a song his mother used to hum when he was little. But this was coming from deep space, from a place where no human had ever been. "Lisa, you need to hear this." Jake called out to Dr. Lisa Carter, who was working in the lab next door. Lisa was the ship's expert on alien life, though she had never actually seen any aliens before. She spent most of her time studying rocks and ice samples from dead planets. Lisa walked into the communications room, still wearing her white lab coat. Her hair was tied back in a simple ponytail, and she looked tired from a long day of work. "What is it, Jake? Did you find something?" Jake pointed to the screen that showed the sound waves. "Listen to this. It started about 10 minutes ago, and it's not like anything we've heard before." The music played through the speakers again. It was beautiful and sad at the same time, like someone singing a lullaby to a child who could not sleep. The melody went up and down in a way that made both Jake and Lisa feel something deep in their hearts. Lisa sat down in the chair next to Jake and studied the screen. "Where is this coming from?" Jake pointed to another screen that showed a map of nearby star systems. The Kepler 442 system, about 12 light years from here. The signal is strong, which means whoever is sending it has some serious equipment. Lisa felt her heart beat faster. The Kepler 442 system was special. Just 6 months ago, Earth's long range telescopes had spotted signs of technology there. Huge structures in space that could only be made by intelligent beings. The Earth government had sent the Harmony to get a closer look, but they were told to be very careful and not to make contact unless they were sure it was safe. "This could be it," Lisa whispered. "This could be first contact," Jake nodded. "But why music? If they wanted to talk to us, why not send numbers or pictures or something we could understand better?" The music continued to play. Sometimes it was loud and strong, like a full orchestra. Other times it was quiet and gentle, like a single person humming alone. But through it all, there was something that felt very real and very emotional. Lisa started recording everything. "Music is a language," she said as she worked. "Even on Earth, people from different countries can understand each other through music. Maybe these aliens figured that out too." Jake listened more carefully to the pattern. There was something mathematical about it, something that repeated in regular ways. "It's not just random," he said. "There are patterns here, numbers hidden in the music." They worked together for the next 2 hours, breaking down the signal and studying every part of it. The music seemed to be made up of several different instruments playing together, but the instruments did not sound like anything from Earth. Some made sounds like bells, others like wind blowing through caves. But when they all played together, it created something beautiful. "Look at this," Lisa said, pointing to her computer screen. "The mathematical patterns in the music match up with prime numbers. And here, this part seems to show the structure of hydrogen atoms. They're using the music to show us they understand science." Jake felt excited and scared at the same time. So they're trying to prove they're intelligent. They want us to know. They're not just making random noise. The music stopped suddenly. Jake and Lisa looked at each other, wondering if something had gone wrong with their equipment. But then the signal started again, this time a little different. The same basic melody was there, but now it had new parts added to it. They know. We're listening, Lisa said. They changed the signal. They're responding to us. Jake's hands shook a little as he reached for the controls. Should we send something back? Lisa thought about it. The rules from Earth were clear. Do not make contact without permission from the government. But this was different. These aliens had reached out first. They were using music, which seemed peaceful and friendly. And they were showing signs of intelligence and science. We have to tell Captain Rodriguez, Lisa said. This is too big for us to decide alone. Jake saved all the recordings and sent them to the captain's quarters. Within 10 minutes, Captain Alex Rodriguez was standing in the communications room, still wearing his sleeping clothes, but wide awake. Play it again, the captain said. Jake played the musical signal from the beginning. Captain Rodriguez listened carefully, his face serious and thoughtful. He had been in space for 20 years and had seen many strange things, but nothing like this. How long has this been going on? He asked. About 3 hours now, Jake replied. And it's getting stronger. They're definitely trying to communicate. With us. Captain Rodriguez looked at the star map showing the Kepler 442 system. 12 light years away, but their signal is reaching us like they're next door. These aliens have technology we can't even imagine. The music played on, filling the small communications room with sounds from another world. For the first time in human history, Earth was hearing a song from the stars. And somewhere out there, alien beings were waiting to see if humanity would sing back. Captain Alex Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the Harmony, looking out at the stars ahead. It had been 2 weeks since they received the musical signal, and now they were finally close to the Kepler 442 system. The journey had felt like the longest. 2 weeks of his life. During the trip, the aliens had continued sending their music. Each day brought new songs, more complex and beautiful than the last. The crew had started calling the aliens Zephyrians after the gentle way their music seemed to flow like wind through the ship's speakers. Captain, we're picking up multiple signals now, Jake Morrison called out from his station. It looks like they have a whole civilization down there. Rodriguez walked over to look at Jake's screens. The planet Kepler 442b was covered with lights, just like Earth at night. But these lights moved in patterns, creating shapes and designs that looked almost like art. Commander Santos, prepare the first contact team, Rodriguez said to his second-in-command. We're going to make history today. Commander Maria Santos was a small woman with dark hair and serious eyes. She had trained for first contact situations her whole career, but she never thought it would actually happen. She checked her equipment one more time and made sure her translation computer was working properly. The shuttle is ready, Captain, she reported. Dr. Carter will come with us to study their biology. And we're bringing Jake too, since he's the one who first heard their music. Rodriguez nodded. Remember, we're here to learn, not to judge. These beings have been peaceful so far, and we want to keep it that way. The shuttle left the Harmony and flew toward the planet. As they got closer, they could see huge structures floating in space around the world. These were not like human space stations. They looked more like giant musical instruments, with curved shapes and hollow spaces that seemed designed to make sound. Incredible, Dr. Carter whispered as she looked out the window. They've built their entire civilization around music. The shuttle landed in what looked like a park. The ground was covered with soft, blue grass that seemed to sing when the wind blew through it. Strange trees with silver leaves made gentle chiming sounds as their branches moved. Everything on this world seemed to be designed to create music. As they stepped out of the shuttle, 3 beings approached them. The Zephyrians were tall and thin, with skin that changed colors like oil on water. They had no mouths that the humans could see, but their entire bodies seemed to vibrate with sound. When they moved, they created harmonies that filled the air. Around them, the lead Zephyrian stepped forward and made a series of musical tones. To the humans, it sounded like a beautiful song, but their translation computer worked hard to turn the music into words. "Welcome, beings from the distant star," the computer said in a flat, mechanical voice. "We have been waiting for you to arrive. We are the Zephyrians, and we greet you with joy." Commander Santos stepped forward carefully. "We are humans from the planet Earth. We received your musical messages and came to meet you. We come in peace." The Zephyrian's body color shifted to brighter shades, and the music it made became more complex. "Peace is the foundation of all good music," the translation said. "We have watched your species for many cycles of your sun. You are the first beings we have found who create music with such emotion." Dr. Carter was fascinated. She had never seen anything like these creatures before. "How do you communicate without mouths?" she asked. The Zephyrian's response came as a series of gentle tones that made the humans feel calm and happy. "We speak through the music of our bodies. Every thought, every feeling becomes a song. Your species is unusual because you create music with tools and voices, but we are music itself." Jake listened carefully to the way the Zephyrian's body made different sounds. "Can you teach us to understand your music better?" he asked. The 3 Zephyrians seemed to discuss something among themselves, their bodies creating a complex harmony that sounded like a choir. Finally, the leader responded. "We will share our knowledge with you, but first we must know more about your species. We have observed your world from far away, and we have seen both beautiful and terrible things. Your people create wonderful music, but they also create conflict and violence. This troubles us." Commander Santos felt her heart sink. She knew that human history was full of wars and fighting. "We're not perfect," she admitted, "but we're trying to learn and grow. That's part of why we explore space, to find new ways of thinking and living." The Zephyrian's colors became more muted, and its music took on a sadder tone. "We belong to a community of peaceful species across the galaxy. We have lived without war for thousands of your years. Before we can welcome you to our community, we must be sure that you will not bring violence with you." Dr. Carter stepped forward. "What can we do to prove that we want peace?" The Zephyrian created a long, complex musical phrase that took the translation computer several seconds to process. "There is a way. The Galactic Council has rules for new species who want to join our community. You must prove that you can work together with other species, that you can create harmony instead of conflict." The second Zephyrian began to sing, and suddenly the air around them filled with images made of light and sound. The humans could see other alien species, some that looked like plants, others like crystals, and some that were just patterns of energy floating in space. 12 species make up our council, the lead Zephyrian explained. Each one is different, but we have learned to work together. If your species can pass the test, you will be welcomed as the 13th member. Jake felt excited, but also nervous. What kind of test? The Zephyrian's body began to glow brighter. It is called the Harmony Test. Representatives from all 12 species must work together to create a single piece of music. Each species contributes something unique, but the final result must be something that speaks to all of us. Commander, Santos understood the challenge, and if we fail, the Zephyrian's music became very quiet and sad. Then your species will be isolated. Barriers will be placed around your solar system to prevent you from traveling to other worlds. This is not done to hurt you, but to protect the peaceful species in the galaxy. The third Zephyrian, who had been quiet until now, began to sing. Its music was hopeful and encouraging. But we believe your species has the potential to succeed. Your music has touched our hearts in ways we did not expect. You have something special, the ability to express emotions that other species struggle to understand. Dr. Carter felt a mixture of hope and fear. When would this test happen? Soon, the lead Zephyrian replied. We will send a message to the Galactic Council. They will prepare a place for the test, and you will have time to choose your representatives. And prepare. But remember, this is not just about music. It is about showing that humanity can work with others, that you can create beauty instead of destruction. As the sun began to set on the alien world, the Zephyrians' bodies began to glow with soft light. Their music became a lullaby that made the humans feel peaceful and sleepy. Rest now, the lead Zephyrian said. Tomorrow we will teach you more about our ways, and you can teach us about yours. The path to harmony begins with understanding. Commander Santos looked up at the stars appearing in the alien sky. Somewhere out there, 12 different species were waiting to judge humanity. The future of the human race now depended on their ability to make music with creatures they had never seen before. The weight of that responsibility felt heavier than anything she had ever carried. Dr. Kevin Walsh stepped off the transport ship with a guitar case in one hand and a bag full of musical instruments in the other. He had been called away from his job at the University of California to join the Harmony crew, and he still could not believe what was happening. Kevin was a musicologist, someone who studied music from all over the world. He had spent years learning about different cultures and how they used music to express their feelings. But he had never imagined he would be studying alien music. Welcome aboard, Dr. Walsh, Commander Santos said as she met him at the docking bay. We're glad you're here. The Zephyrians are eager to meet you. Kevin looked around the ship with wonder. He could hear the alien music playing softly through the speakers, and it made him feel calm and curious at the same time. Have you learned anything new about how they make their music? Santos led him toward the shuttle bay. Come see for yourself. We're heading down to the planet now. The Zephyrians have prepared something special for you. The shuttle ride to the planet's surface was filled with Kevin's questions. He wanted to know everything about the Zephyrians and their musical culture. By the time they landed, he was practically bouncing with excitement. The Zephyrians had built a special meeting place for the cultural exchange. It looked like a giant concert hall made of crystal and metal, with perfect acoustics that made every sound clear and beautiful. When Kevin played a single note on his guitar, it echoed through the space like a choir of angels. Amazing, Kevin whispered. This place is designed to enhance any music played here. 3 Zephyrians waited for them in the center of the hall. Kevin recognized the lead Zephyrian from Commander Santos's reports. Its body shimmered with gold and silver colors, and its music was deep and wise. Welcome, Music Keeper, the Zephyrian sang, and Kevin felt the translation computer in his ear turn the beautiful sounds into words. We have been waiting to share our songs with someone who understands the deep meaning of music. Kevin bowed respectfully. I'm honored to be here. I've studied music my whole life, but I've never heard anything as beautiful as what your people create. The Zephyrian's colors brightened. Music is not just sound to us. It is healing, it is memory, it is the way we connect with each other and with the universe itself. Let us show you. The first Zephyrian began to sing, and Kevin felt something strange happen. The music seemed to enter his mind directly, and suddenly he could see images and feel emotions that were not his own. He saw the history of the Zephyrian people, their peaceful cities, their love for harmony and beauty. This is incredible, Kevin said, his voice full of awe. You're not just making music, you're sharing memories and feelings. The second Zephyrian joined in with a different melody. This time, Kevin felt his own stress and worry melting away. His mind became clear and peaceful, and he felt better than he had in years. Music that heals, the first Zephyrian explained. We use these songs to help those who are hurt in body or spirit. Physical wounds and emotional pain both respond to the right frequencies. Kevin took out his guitar and played a gentle melody. The Zephyrians listened carefully, their bodies changing colors as they absorbed the music. When he finished, they looked at him with what seemed like surprise. "Your music is different from ours," the third Zephyrian said. "It comes from individual expression, from personal experience. We create music together, as a community, but you create music alone and then share it with others." Kevin nodded. "That's one of the things that makes human music special. Each person brings their own experiences and emotions into their music. No two human musicians will play the same song exactly the same way." Over the next several hours, Kevin and the Zephyrians shared different types of music. The aliens showed hymn compositions that could make plants grow faster, songs that could help people learn new languages, and harmonies that could bring peace to troubled minds. In return, Kevin played jazz, blues, classical music, and rock and roll. The Zephyrians were particularly fascinated by improvisation, a human ability to create new music on the spot without planning it first. You change the music as you play. The first Zephyrian observed. You respond to what you hear and feel in the moment. This is a skill we do not possess, Kevin smiled. It's one of the things humans do best. We adapt, we change, we create something new from what already exists. But as the cultural exchange continued, Kevin began to notice that the Zephyrians seemed worried about something. Their colors became more muted, and their music took on undertones of concern. "What's troubling you?" Kevin asked during a break in the music. The lead Zephyrian was quiet for a long moment. "We have been in contact with the Galactic Council about your species. They have concerns about allowing humans to join our community." Kevin felt his heart sink. "What kind of concerns?" "Many of the council members have studied your history. They see the wars, the violence, the destruction that humans have caused on their own planet. They worry that bringing humans into the galactic community would threaten the peace we have worked so hard to build." The second Zephyrian added its voice to the conversation. "We have tried to explain that human music shows a different side of your species. Your ability to express complex emotions, to create beauty from pain, to bring people together through shared experience. These are valuable gifts." "But not everyone agrees," the third Zephyrian said sadly. "Some species believe that any species capable of violence should be kept separate from the peaceful worlds." Kevin felt frustrated and sad. "We're not perfect," he admitted. "Humans have done terrible things in the past. But we've also created incredible beauty. We've learned from our mistakes, and we're trying to do better." The first Zephyrian's colors shifted to a more hopeful shade. "This is why the harmony test exists. It is a chance for your species to prove that you can work with others, that you can create instead of destroy." Kevin understood the weight of the situation. "Tell me more about this test. What exactly will we need to do?" "Representatives from all 12 council species will gather in one place. Each species must contribute something to a musical composition, but the final piece must be something that all species can connect with. It must show unity, cooperation, and understanding." The second Zephyrian added, "The challenge is that each species experiences music differently. Some hear only rhythm, others only melody. Some feel music as vibration, others as light. Creating something that speaks to all of them requires a deep understanding of each species and their unique qualities." Kevin felt both excited and terrified. "And if we fail?" The third Zephyrian's music became very quiet. "Your species will be isolated. Energy barriers will be placed around your solar system to prevent you from traveling to other worlds. This is not meant as punishment, but as protection for the peaceful species in the galaxy. Kevin thought about Earth, about all the musicians and artists who had inspired him throughout his life. When is this test supposed to happen? Soon, the first Zephyrian replied. The Council is preparing a neutral space station where the test will take place. Your leaders will need to choose a team of representatives who can work with alien species they have never met before. As the day ended, Kevin felt the weight of responsibility settling on his shoulders. A future of humanity now depended on their ability to make music with 12 different alien species. It was the biggest challenge any musician had ever faced. But as he listened to the Zephyrians, evening songs drifting across the alien landscape, Kevin felt a spark of hope. Music was the universal language that had brought them together in the young. First place. Maybe, just maybe, it would be enough to save them. Ambassador Elena Vasquez adjusted her formal blue uniform as she walked through the corridors of the massive space station. She had been Earth's top diplomat for 15 years, but nothing had prepared her for this moment. Today she would represent all of humanity before the Galactic Council. The space station was unlike anything humans had ever built. It was enormous, easily the size of a small city, and it seemed to be alive. The walls pulsed with soft light, and the air hummed with energy from 12 different worlds. Each section of the station was designed for a different alien species, with different gravity, atmosphere, and temperature. Elena's guide was a tall, thin being that looked like it, was made of blue crystal. It spoke through vibrations that her translation device turned into words. The council chamber is ahead, the crystal being said. Each species has sent their most important leaders. This is a rare gathering, the first time in 50 years that all 12 species have met together. Elena felt nervous, but tried not to show it. She had studied everything she could about the 12 species, but seeing them in person was going to be different. Thank you for arranging this meeting. I know. It's unusual for the council to consider a new species. Your species is unusual, the crystal being replied. Most species we encounter are either completely peaceful or completely aggressive. Humans seem to be both at the same time. This makes the council very uncertain. They entered the council chamber, and Elena had to stop and stare. The room was huge, with sections floating at different levels and angles. Each section was designed for a different species, and Elena could see beings that looked like plants, others that seemed to be made of light, and some that were just floating clouds of gas dot. At the center of the room was a small platform where Elena would make her presentation. Around it, the 12 species of the Galactic Council waited to hear what she had to say. The first species to speak was the Krillians. They looked like giant insects made of metal, with sharp edges and glowing red eyes. When they spoke, their voice was harsh and mechanical. We have studied the human species for many cycles, the Krillian leader said. They are dangerous and unpredictable. Their history is filled with wars, violence, and destruction. In just the last 100 years, they have fought 2 massive wars that killed millions of their own people. Elena felt her heart racing, but she kept her voice calm. It's true that humans have a history of conflict, but we have also learned from our mistakes. We've built international organizations to prevent war, and we've worked together to solve global problems. A species that looked like living trees spoke next. Their voice was like wind through leaves. We have observed your planet. You are destroying your own environment. You pollute your air and water. You cut down your forests. And you cause other species to go extinct. How can we trust you to protect other worlds? Elena had expected this question. We're working to fix those problems. Our scientists have developed clean energy. We're planting new forests, and we're learning to live in harmony with nature. These challenges have taught us the importance of working together. The third species to speak was made of what looked like flowing water. Their voice sounded like ocean waves. Your species is young and impulsive. The youngest member of our council has been spacefaring for over 1,000 years. You have only recently learned to leave your own planet. What makes you think you are ready to join a galactic community? Elena thought carefully before answering. You're right that we're young, but sometimes young species bring new ideas and fresh perspectives. We've learned to adapt quickly to new situations, and we've shown that we can work with others when we need to. For the next 2 hours, Elena faced questions from each of the 12 species. Some were curious about human culture, others were worried about human aggression, and a few seemed to think humans were too primitive to be worth considering. The most difficult questions came from a species that appeared to be made of pure energy. They existed as patterns of light that constantly shifted and changed. We have detected something troubling about your species, the energy being said. You have the capacity for great creativity and great destruction. This combination makes you unpredictable. In our experience, unpredictable species eventually cause problems for everyone else. Elena felt frustrated. Everything she said seemed to make the council more worried about humanity. She decided to try a different approach. I understand your concerns, she said, but I want you to consider something. Yes, humans have the capacity for destruction, but we also have the capacity for incredible creation. We make art, music, literature, and scientific discoveries. We feel emotions deeply, and we use those emotions to create beauty. The Zephyrian representative began to sing, and Elena felt grateful for their support. The humans have a gift for emotional expression that we have rarely seen, the Zephyrian said. Their music touches us in ways that surprise us. This ability to connect emotionally could be valuable to our community. But the Karelian leader was not convinced. Emotions can be dangerous. Species that make decisions based on feelings rather than logic often make poor choices. We have seen this pattern before. A species that looked like floating jellyfish spoke for the first time. Perhaps we should focus on the practical question. If we allow humans to join our community, what can they contribute? What unique value do they bring? Elena had been hoping someone would ask this question. Humans excel at problem solving and adaptation. We're good at finding new ways to do things and working with limited resources. We're also natural bridge builders. We can help different groups understand each other and work together. The crystal being that had guided Elena to the chambers spoke up. The humans have already shown this ability. When they met the Zephyrians, they quickly learned to communicate through music. They adapted to an entirely new form of communication. In just a few days, the council members began to discuss among themselves. Elena could hear fragments of conversation in dozens of different languages and communication methods. Some species were arguing, others seemed to be singing, and a few were just flashing lights at each other. Finally, the tree-like beings spoke for the group. We have decided to offer humanity a chance to prove themselves. There will be a harmony test, a chance for your species to show that they can work cooperatively with others. Elena felt a mixture of relief and fear. What does this test involve? The Zephyrian representatives sang their explanation. Representatives from all 12 species will work together to create a single musical composition. Each species must contribute something unique, but the final piece must be something that all species can appreciate and connect with. The energy being added their own explanation. This test requires cooperation, creativity, understanding, and the ability to work with beings very different from yourself. If your species can pass this test, we will accept them as the 13th member of our council. Elena felt the weight of responsibility. And if we fail? The Karelian leader's voice was cold and final. Then your species will be isolated. Energy Barriers will be placed around your solar system to prevent you from reaching other worlds. This is not meant as punishment, but as protection for the peaceful species in the galaxy. The tree beings spoke again. You have 30 days to prepare. Choose your representatives carefully. The test will be held at a neutral location, and all 12 species will be watching. This is your species' one chance to prove that they belong in our community. As Elena left the council chamber, she felt the enormous pressure of what lay ahead. The future of humanity now depended on their ability to make music with 12 alien species they had never met before. It was the most important test in human history. She thought about all the musicians back on Earth, all the artists and creators who had spent their lives bringing people together through their work. Now it was their turn to bring not just people together, but entire species from across the galaxy. The harmony test would determine whether humanity had a future among the stars, or whether they would be alone in the universe forever. Captain Rodriguez stood on the observation deck of the neutral space station, watching his team prepare for the most important performance in human history. Through the large windows, he could see 12 different alien ships docked at the station, each one carrying representatives from the Galactic Council species. The preparation had taken weeks. Earth's best musicians, scientists, and diplomats had worked together to understand each alien species and how they experienced music. The challenge seemed impossible. How could they create something that would speak to beings as different as living crystals, energy patterns, and tree-like creatures? "Captain, we're ready to begin," Danny Miller called out. Danny had been a jazz musician before joining the space service, and his ability to improvise had made him essential to the team. He had spent the last month designing hybrid instruments that could interface with alien musical systems. Rodriguez nodded and walked to the preparation room where the human team was making their final preparations. Dr. Susan Taylor was there, studying her notes about alien psychology and how different species processed emotional information. Kevin Walsh was tuning a strange new instrument that combined human guitar technology with Zephyrian sound crystals. "How are we feeling, everyone?" Rodriguez asked the team. Susan looked up from her research, nervous but ready. "Each species experiences music differently, but we've found some common patterns. All of them respond to mathematical relationships in sound, and most of them can detect emotional content in music, even if they express it differently than we do." Kevin tested his hybrid instrument, and it made sounds that were both familiar and alien at the same time. The Zephyrians have been helping us understand the other species better. They've been part of the galactic community the longest, so they know how to work with everyone. Danny was putting together his drum kit, which now included percussion instruments from 3 different worlds. The key is going to be listening. In jazz, you have to listen to what everyone else is playing and find your place in it. This is the same thing, just with aliens. Ambassador Vasquez entered the room, looking formal but confident. The council representatives are taking their places in the performance chamber. "Are we ready?" Rodriguez looked at his team. These 5 humans were about to determine the future of their entire species. Remember, we're not just representing ourselves. We're representing every human who ever made music, everyone who ever brought people together through art. Let's show them what humanity can do. They walked together to the performance chamber, and Rodriguez felt his breath catch in his throat. The room was enormous, with sections floating at different levels to accommodate each species. The acoustics were perfect, designed to carry sound. To every corner of the space, the 12 alien species were already in position. The Krillians sat in their metal chairs, their red eyes glowing as they watched the humans enter. The tree beings had rooted themselves in special soil containers, their leaves rustling with anticipation. The energy patterns floated and contained fields shifting colors as they observed the proceedings. At the center of the chamber was a circular platform where all 13 species would work together. The platform was equipped with translation devices and sound amplifiers that would allow each species to contribute their unique form of music to the composition. The Zephyrian representative began the session with a gentle greeting song that welcomed everyone to the test. "Today we attempt something that has never been done before," the translation said. 13 different species, each with their own understanding of music, will try to create something beautiful together. The crystal beings spoke next, their voices creating harmonic patterns that filled the chamber. Each species will have a chance to contribute to the composition. The goal is not to create music that any one species would make alone, but to create something new that speaks to all of us. Rodriguez stepped forward. "We're honored to participate in this test. Humans believe that music is a universal language that can bring anyone together, no matter how different they are." The first part of the test was for each species to demonstrate their unique musical abilities. The tree beings created sounds like wind through a forest, with deep bass notes that the humans could feel in their bones. The energy patterns made music that looked like light shows, with colors that seemed to sing. The floating jellyfish-like creatures produced sounds like whale songs, deep and haunting melodies that seemed to come from the ocean depths. The crystal beings created bell-like tones that were mathematically perfect and incredibly beautiful. When it was humanity's turn, Kevin played a simple melody on his guitar, while Danny provided a gentle rhythm on his drums. But then Susan began to sing, and something magical happened. Her voice carried emotions that the translation devices couldn't capture. Longing, hope, sadness, and joy all mixed together. The alien species reacted with surprise. The Zephyrians' bodies brightened with excitement. The tree beings' leaves rustled more actively, and even the usually serious Krillians seemed to lean forward with interest. "Your music carries feelings," the crystal beings observed. "Not just the mathematical patterns of sound, but actual emotions that we can sense." Kevin smiled. "That's what makes human music special. We put our hearts into it." Now came the real challenge, creating a composition together. The platform in the center of the chamber lit up, showing a visual representation of sound that all species could understand. Each group would add their contribution to the growing musical piece. The tree beings started with a foundation of deep, steady rhythms like a heartbeat. The crystal beings added precise mathematical harmonies that created structure. The energy patterns contributed light and color that danced with the music as each species added their part. The composition grew more complex and beautiful. But it was also becoming chaotic. Too many different styles and approaches were fighting against each other. Danny realized what was happening. "We need to be the bridge," he told his team quietly. "Each species is doing their own thing, but nobody is connecting them together." Rodriguez understood. "This is what we do best. Adapt and connect." The human team stepped onto the platform. Instead of adding another separate layer to the music, they began to weave connections between the alien contributions. Kevin found ways to link the crystal harmonies with the tree rhythms. Danny used his drums to create transitions between different sections. Susan's voice became a thread that tied all the different musical elements together. Dr. Taylor watched the other species carefully and began to sing harmonies that enhanced what each alien group was contributing. She made the tree beings' rhythms feel more emotional, helped the crystal harmonies carry more warmth, and gave structure to the energy patterns light shows. Slowly, the chaotic mixture began to transform into something unified and beautiful. Each species could still hear their own contribution clearly, but now it was part of something larger, a true collaboration, instead of just separate parts playing at the same time. The Zephyrians joined in next, their bodies creating music that supported and enhanced what the humans were doing. Soon, other species began to modify their contributions to work better with the emerging composition. For the first time, representatives from 13 different worlds were making music together. The sound filled the chamber with harmonies that no single species could have created alone. As the composition reached its climax, Rodriguez felt tears in his eyes. This was it. This was humanity's gift to the galaxy. Not conquest or domination, but the ability to bring others together, to find connections where none existed before. The music ended in perfect harmony, with all 13 species contributing to a final chord that seemed to fill the entire universe with beauty and hope. The silence after the music ended felt like it lasted forever. Lieutenant Amy Foster, who had been quietly managing the sound systems during the performance, held her breath as she watched the 12 alien species processing what had just happened. Her perfect pitch had helped her fine-tune the final performance, making sure every note was exactly right. The Carellian representatives were the first to react. Their red eyes had stopped glowing with suspicion, and now showed something that looked almost like wonder. The metal creatures who had been humanity's harshest critics began to make clicking sounds that their translation devices turned into words. "We have never experienced anything like this before," the lead Carellian said. "Our species has always believed that order and logic were the highest values. But this music, it made us feel something new, something we do not have words for." The tree beings rustled their leaves, and what the humans had learned was a sign of approval. "Your species has a gift we did not expect," they said in their voice like wind through branches. "You took our separate songs and made them into something that belonged to all of us. This is not conquest or domination. This is true cooperation." "Captain." Rodriguez felt his heart racing. Were they about to pass the test? The crystal beings began to glow brighter, creating patterns of light that danced around the chamber. The mathematical precision of the final composition was perfect, the crystal beings announced. But more than that, it contained elements that spoke to each species individually while remaining unified as a whole. This requires understanding that goes beyond mere calculation. Amy stepped forward nervously. She had been the one conducting the final movement, using her musical training to guide the complex harmonies. "We just listened to what everyone was trying to say and tried to help you say it together." The energy patterns that floated in their containment fields began to pulse with new colors. "Listening," they repeated. "Yes, this is what your species does differently. Most species speak, but you listen first and then respond. This is why you could connect our different forms of music." Dr. Susan Taylor wiped tears from her eyes. The emotional weight of the music they had just created was overwhelming. Music has always brought humans together, even when we spoke different languages or came from different cultures. We hoped it could do the same thing here. The floating jellyfish-like creatures began to sing in their deep, ocean-like voices. "We have been members of this council for 800 years, but we have never felt such connection with other species. Your music helped us understand our fellow council members in ways we never thought possible." Danny Miller sat behind his drums, still amazed by what they had accomplished. "So what happens now? Did we pass the test?" The Zephyrian representative's body began to glow with the brightest colors the humans had ever seen. Their music was joyful and triumphant as they spoke for the entire council. "The Galactic Council has reached a unanimous decision," the Zephyrian announced. "Humanity has not only passed the harmony test, but has shown us something we did not know was possible. You have proven that cooperation and understanding can create beauty that none of us could achieve alone." The chamber erupted in sounds of celebration from all 12 species. The tree beings' leaves rustled like applause, the crystal beings chimed like bells, and the energy patterns created a light show that filled the entire space with dancing. Colors. Ambassador Vasquez felt overwhelming relief and pride. "Thank you for giving us this chance. We promise to be worthy members of the galactic community." The lead Carellian, who had been humanity's biggest opponent, spoke with what sounded like respect. We owe you an apology. We judged your species based on your capacity for conflict, but we did not see your even greater capacity for bringing others together. This is a valuable gift." Kevin Walsh, still holding his hybrid guitar, looked around at the alien species, who were now celebrating with them. What happens next? The crystal beings created a new light pattern that showed images of the galaxy. You will be welcomed as the 13th member of the Galactic Council. But more than that, we want you to help us create something new, a cultural exchange embassy where species can learn from each other through music and art. Dr. Taylor's eyes lit up with excitement. A place where different species can share their cultures and find new ways to understand each other. The tree beings swayed gently as they spoke. "Yes, your species has shown us that our differences can make us stronger when we work together. We want to learn this skill from you." Amy felt proud but also humble. "We're honored, but we're still learning too. Working with all of you has taught us things about music that we never knew before." The energy patterns pulsed with warm colors. "This is perfect. Teachers who are also students, leaders who also listen. This is exactly what the galaxy needs." Over the next few hours, the details were worked out. Humanity would establish their first embassy on the neutral space station where the test had taken place. Human musicians, artists, and diplomats would work with representatives from all 12 species to create new forms of cooperation and understanding. The harmony test composition would be remembered as the Careless Whisper Protocol, named after the original musical signal that had started the whole journey. It would become the foundation for a new era of galactic cooperation. Captain Rodriguez gathered his team together as the celebration continued around them. "You all realize what we've done here, right? We've not only saved humanity from isolation, but we've changed the entire galaxy." Danny grinned as he packed up his drums. Not bad for a day's work. Kevin carefully put away his hybrid guitar. "The best part is that this is just the beginning. Think about all the music we'll discover, all the new forms of art we'll create. Together." Susan looked out at the alien species who were still celebrating. "We've proven that differences don't have to divide us. They can make us stronger and more creative." Amy was already thinking about the technical challenges ahead. Setting up the cultural exchange embassy is going to require new translation. Systems, new instruments, new ways of sharing music across species. It's going to be incredible. Ambassador Vasquez felt the weight of history on her shoulders. We're about to become ambassadors not just for Earth, but for the idea that cooperation is stronger than conflict, that art and music can bridge any gap. As the celebration continued, the humans realized that they had found their true purpose in the galaxy. They weren't conquerors or warriors. They were connectors, bridge builders, and peacemakers. Their greatest weapon wasn't technology or force, but their ability to help others understand each other. The Zephyrian, who had first contacted them, approached. "Captain Rodriguez, your species will be remembered as the ones who taught the galaxy to sing together," they said. "This is a greater achievement than conquering worlds." Rodriguez smiled as he watched his team celebrating with beings from 12 different worlds. "I think we're going to like it here among the stars." The original Careless Whisper from deep space had grown into a symphony that would unite the galaxy. And at the heart of it all was humanity's greatest gift, the ability to listen, to understand, and to help others find their voice in the universal song of peace.